sniping's awesome. I mean, why get in a gunfight way over there when I'm way over here? Gunfights are scary. I ain't going over there. But as cool as it is, there is a problem with it. It's typical in film to see an expert assassin being paid a large sum of money to snipe their target from far away. Now, the steep price for their wet work is not due to the high-risk nature or difficulty of the job. It's steep because that's how much it costs to do this shit. But luckily, there is a solution. Precision 22s, for when you want to train like a elite super stealth ghost warrior sniper man, but can't quite afford it. Today we're going to go over the two best Precision 22 rifles you can get, the Zermatt RimX and the Vudoo.
A quick word from our sponsor.
I'm the sponsor. No one's gonna pay me to do this shit. So to try to make a little bit of money, I decided to make a website, 3dronin.com, where I sell my 3D prints. I got battery holders for Pelican 1010 cases. I got Kestrel holsters to keep your Kestrels nice and secure. I got flagazines, which is a combination of a mag block and a chamber flag. And I have different types for different kinds of rifles. How quality are my products? Well, if you got your gutter trash here and your top tier quality products here, I'm like, here, check it out today. Oh, and by the way, I make all this by myself in a garage with a box of scraps. So if you guys could like coordinate with each other your orders, it would make it really easy for me. Thanks. Commercial over. When it comes to Precision 22, the Vudoo and the RimX are the top choices. The RimX is typically sold with just the action, which means you'd have to build the rest of the rifle yourself. But the Vudoo, on the other hand, is sold as a barreled action or even a full rifle. But in the case of both of these, I built these myself. And building them is really easy to do. So easy, a child can do it. And should arm the children. Now, while these may look expensive, don't get the wrong impression, they are. But the savings come with the continued practice. Sniping, like all other shooting disciplines, are very perishable skills. To improve or even maintain your skills, it requires sending a lot of hot loads downrange, with little to no refractory period. And this is where a big problem comes in. Shit's expensive. For example, Big Chungus here costs as much as a 2012 Honda Accord, and it shoots these. This is a 6 Dasher, a very special round. Each of these, even reloaded, are easily over $1. And the barrels have a relatively short life compared to other rifle calibers. For example, your basic bitch 308 might get like 10,000 rounds before the barrel actually needs to be replaced. This Dasher only has a barrel life though of about 2,000 rounds before its groups start to spread wider than Elton John's chocolate starfish. Even more common options like the 6.5 Creedmoor will lose accuracy after about 3,000 rounds. Then when the barrel's toast, you get to spend another $700+ to get a new barrel and machine it to your action. So unless you got really deep pockets or just killing it on OnlyFans, it can be hard to get in enough practice. To help solve this problem, you can build either of these to shoot 22 long rifle, which is cheap and far more accessible, like your mom. Let's go over how I built these. First start by the chassis, the chassis, the body of the rifle. And these bodies are so fine, these barrels never go limp. The RimX is sitting pretty in this KRG Bravo chassis, combined with this Alpha 4 end, which you can find at Next Shop Precision, which is a pretty cool shop, just saying. While the Vudoo is all snuggled in this XLR NV Pro. These chassis are available for other rifle platforms, such as Tikka or Remington 700 long action. Both of these chassis are made to fit the Remington 700 short action footprint, which is what the RimX and the Vudoo are made to fit into. So, that Remington 700 you have sitting in your gun safe, you could replace the action with one of these and be able to shoot 22. And if that Remington 700 was chambered in 308, it's probably an upgrade. 308? More like 308. Get a 6.5 Creedmoor, you boomers. Now these actions are built with high precision and a build quality that makes your bolt gun look like something Elmer Fudd would use during wagon season. The RimX feels like a proper custom action, nice and smooth with little to no play. While the Vudoo on the other hand has a little bit more play in the action, but that doesn't bother me one bit. Play is okay, because these rifles are going to work hard, and I mean hard, like calculus or picking cotton. The RimX uses an integral lug and a 90-degree throw, while this Vudoo's 360 sports a 3-lug bolt and a 60-degree throw. But the Vudoo also offers a typical 2-lug 90-degree throw. For you normie losers out there that don't know what degree throw means, it means how far the bolt has to be lifted to be able to open the action. So typically, smaller degree throws like 60 are faster because you don't have to move the bolt as much. Next up are the barrels. The RimX has a 24-inch K&P Marksman Contour barrel, and the Vudoo has a 20-inch factory MTU barrel. Now you might notice that the Vudoo barrel is pretty chunky, and the RimX barrel is pretty long for 22s, which might lead you to think that it's to increase accuracy or reduce recoil. No! Stupid! What recoil? These are 22s. The only way you'd feel recoil on either of these is if you were weak, like a vegan or a starving communist, which is a redundant statement because all communists are starving. While longer barrels might be to increase accuracy in centerfire rifles, barrel length and thickness don't really contribute as much as you'd think to the accuracy of these rifles. The accuracy of these rifles comes from its quality machining and quality ammunition. Also, since these are 22s, you'll never have to replace these barrels. They'll never burn out. In fact, I clean these probably once a year, and I shoot them a lot, more than I'm willing to admit. Now you see, I use these rifles in competition, and the key to that is balance. For precision shooting competitions, this is what you want your rifle to be like. That way, the rifle is much more stable when you're shooting off of props. Because in competitions, they make you shoot off the dumbest shit. Next up are the scopes. Most people's scopes are usually like this. They're typically an MOA, and you have to remove the turret cap to be able to adjust it. And you usually have to adjust it with like a dime or something. What? I gotta pay to adjust my elevation? Must be an Israeli design. Now these are proper scopes. Both are an MRAD, the only correct elevation solution, and they'd have all the features you'd ever want out of a scope. On the RimX, I have an Athlon Helos BTR 6-24 by 56, and it is a surprisingly good scope for the price, with fairly good glass quality and all the other features you'd want, like adjustable elevation and wind turrets, illuminated reticle, and reticle subtensions with elevation and wind holdovers. And on the Vudoo, I got a Night Force NX8 4-32 by 50, which does all the things the Helos does, but better. Like better glass quality, better reticle subtensions, and better turrets. And for the price compared to all the other scopes on the market, an absolute banger. Now, both of these are great scopes. The Helos is a great scope for the price. The Night Force, on the other hand, is better in every way, but is more than double the cost. So, if you had to put a gun to my head to make me choose which one I'd rather prefer, Night Force. Next up are the triggers. I've installed single stage, Trigger Tech, diamond triggers on both of my rifles. Arguably the best trigger available on the market, with absolutely zero creep, which basically means absolutely zero movement until the trigger breaks. And when it breaks clean. Cleaner than how most of my ex-girlfriends left me. The trigger weight on both of these triggers is anywhere from 4 to 32 ounces, making it a very light trigger. I have both my triggers set fairly light. Observe. So just how accurate are these? Well, you could just take my word for it, or you can watch me clap the cheeks of these mini pop cans at 100 yards with some high velocity lead suppositories.
Oh no!
First up is the Vudoo. And now the RimX. Easy. Now, despite how wonderful these rifles are, they're not perfect. The Vudoo is prone to feeding issues if you don't load the magazine exactly right. When loading your Vudoo mags, you have to make sure every single round goes all the way back, because if the round below the top round is in front of it, you'll get rim lock, because the rim on that top round will not feed. Also, when you're loading the rounds, you have to pull the follower down just enough to make sure there's enough space for that round to go in. Because if you pull it down too far, the rounds will be loaded too flat and not at the angle they need to feed. Because if it's too flat, what's likely to happen is that the round will just go straight below the chamber and get crushed. So ultimately, the only way to overcome this is to be very, very delicate when loading your mag. I never loved you! You're adopted! The RimX, on the other hand, loves having extraction issues. If I had a nickel for every time this thing had an extraction issue, I'd be Bill Gates, but with less trips to Epstein's Island. I've seen it occur in multiple RimX rifles frequently. One issue is that if you open your bolt too slowly, the round that was in there won't fully eject and it'll stay inside the chamber. So when you try to chamber that next round, you can't. And the other issue it has is a full-blown failure to extract. My best guess is that when a round goes into the chamber, the extractor doesn't fully grab the rim, or it's worn down too much. So when you try to open the bolt, the empty shell stays in the chamber, which will require some effort to remove. Because these are basically scaled down snipers, I wish there was a way we could test this in some kind of scaled down sniper scenario. Oh my god! That pyromaniac and drug pusher have taken that art student's friends hostage! She's probably trying to pump them up with government mind control and 5G. Not on my watch. Alright, they are 50 yards away. But this is scaled down for 22, so scaled up for centerfire, that's like 2 to 3 miles, probably. And negotiations have failed. They keep asking for shit like continued existence, but whatever. I'll shoot this Vudoo here, while my assistant will shoot the RimX. Want to introduce yourself?
Yeah,
that's enough. We are willing to meet your demand! Send it. Threats neutralized. You're welcome, boys!
Jawohl!
Now let's try a similar situation with something more inferior, like this 1022. See that guy over there in the blue shirt minding his own business?
You see, everyone, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without.
I hate that! Time to be a hero. Stop resisting! There! Society saved. I'm a hero! After seeing these two scenarios, you can probably decide for yourself what you think was best. Is that a dog? Oh, hey! That about covers it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something. I know I didn't, but you know what? That's okay. Learning stuff is for nerds anyway. Real men are about action. A Vudoo or RimX action. Thanks for watching.